Okay, my friends, hope you are good. I want to welcome you for this video. We are going to look at control structures. Now, control structures are used to control the flow of the execution of a program. In VB.NET programming, we have several control structures that we use to make decisions, which decisions are based on certain conditions. So these kind of structures include if-else statements and the select case statements. The if then else structure, we use it to execute a block of code if a condition is true, and another block of code if the condition is false. So let's look at an example. Let me create a new project that we are going to use, and I'm going to give it a name, control structures. Then I press enter and my form 1 is created. I'm going to just add one button to experiment the codes. Let me just leave it as is. So when I double click on this button and I go to the code editor, let me first make the size bigger. I think 150 is enough. I'm just going to copy this code that you have in your presentation, and we use it to understand. Now if you look at this code, we are saying if age is greater than 18, but what is age? Maybe so when you put a cursor here, age is not declared. So this is a variable but which is not declared, meaning that this code is just part of a code. We can make this, okay, we can create a better program here, maybe to test your age, if you are an adult or if you are not an adult. So let me make this better. What is my properties window? Okay, it seems I closed it. I go to view, then I look for properties window. Let me stick it there. Okay, let me stick it. So instead of form 1, I can call it maybe age tester. Then I can change this button and I give it the text property which is test. Then maybe I can add a label and a text box. Maybe in this label I tell the user to enter their age. So I can say enter your age. So I'm just going to leave the rest as they are. So you enter your age here, then you test, and you get a message that says you are an adult or you are not yet an adult, depending on the kind of age that you enter. So let's go back to the code editor. Now here I can create a variable. I can set dim age as integer, then I assign it to txt. Okay, the name of my text box is just text box 1, so I call it text box 1 dot text. So when I click somewhere here, you realize that my age variable no longer has the wiggly line, so there is no error. So what does this mean? I've created a variable called age, and I'm getting whatever I enter in the text box 1 the value I enter there, it should be an integer value. I save it, or I store it, or capture it using the age variable. Now here I put an if statement. If is a condition that you set. So in VB.NET we begin with the keyword if, then after the keyword if, what you have is what you call the condition. You can put this condition in brackets, the round brackets, or you may decide not to put it in brackets. Whichever way, it works fine. So if age is greater or equal to 18, so if you enter a value which is equal to 18 and above, then this is another keyword. After then is what should be done. Message box dot show, meaning display a message box with this information: you are an adult. Else means if this condition above is not fulfilled, meaning if the value you have entered in the text box and you save it in age variable is not greater or equal to 18, the else part is displayed, and we shall display you are not yet an adult. So when we click on start, we run our program. So our age tester is here. Enter your age. Let's begin with 18. So when I click on test, the message box comes and says you are an adult. If you put anything 18 and above, maybe 90, still you are an adult. But if you put anything below 18, like 17, you see, you are not yet an adult. Anything 0, 9, you are not yet an adult. So that's how the if statement works. If the condition is true, execute something. If the condition is not true, do not execute, but go to the else part. We can even have a simple if without the else part. For example, if age is greater or equal to 18, we display message box dot show you are an adult and stop there, and we end. This is also possible. That's what we call a simple if. If you put age which is greater than 18 or 18 and above, it says you are an adult. But anything less than 18, maybe 10, nothing, because there is no else part, so we have not given a provision for the else. So this is how the simple if statement works. Then if you have the else, we call this the if else statement. Okay, now let's move on to another simple thing. It's not shown here in the notes, but we can have if else if statements when you have several conditions. For example, if age is greater or equal to 18, I can say you are an adult. Then I can continue and say else if age is greater or equal to maybe 35, now here, even if I don't put then, when I press enter, then it's created automatically. Then I can say message box dot show maybe you are let me put an adult here, and here I put maybe you are a youth. Okay, I'm going to change something. Instead of 18, maybe let me put 20. And there's something interesting you're going to see. I can say else if age is greater or equal to maybe 50, then message box dot show old. Then else, let me say you are maybe a teenager. Okay. So anything other than this, you're a teenager. This code has a problem that you are going to realize when we run, and it's how it works. So greater or equal to 20, something like maybe 22, we expect to see you are a youth. But if we put anything greater or equal to 35, maybe 37, we expect you are an adult, but still it says you are a youth. If we put something greater than 50, maybe 51, we expect you are old, still it says you are a teenager. Anything else other than that, maybe 13, you are a teenager. So that is working. Now what's the problem with these? The problem is the way we are arranging our conditions. Anything greater or equal to 20, because the way the compiler works is that it reads line by line. So the line on top is read before the line below. So any age greater or equal to 20, it will display this. You are an adult. Even if you put 700, 700 greater or equal to 20 years, it will display you are a youth. So that means if you want these conditions to be considered, you change the way you are arranging them. There are two ways. I can use less or equal to instead of greater or equal to. So I could do that. This is less or equal to. Let's check. If I put anything less or equal to 20, like 19, you are a youth. Anything less or equal to 35, like 34, you are an adult. But still, that works. But depending now, the values that you put here have to be changed to match what you wanted to do. But you could leave it with greater or equal to, and then we change. We begin with the greatest up. Let me put it here. So this is where it begins. If age is greater or equal to 50, then you are old, then adult follows from top to down. That's when it will work. What have I done? Let me see else if, yeah. Then, okay. So if age is greater or equal to 50, you are old. So anything greater or equal to 50, 70, 80, 90, 100, 200, you are old. But anything greater or equal to 35, meaning if I put a value which is not greater or equal to 50, any value below 50, like 49, it will go and check here. Match as that value you've put here. Is it greater than or equal to 35? If it is yes, you are an adult. If not, it will again check if that value is greater or equal to 20, then to display your youth. And if it does not match any of these conditions up, those three, then that's when you will display you are a teenager. Of course, this is a starter code, just something to explain quickly, but you could write a better code with better conditions. So if you run this, it works perfectly. Your age 78 we expect you are old, and indeed that's what we see. Then 35 and above, maybe 40, this person is an adult, yeah, that's what we get. Then we put anything greater than 20, but of course less than 35, maybe 29, you are a youth. Then anything below 20, like 19, you're a teenager. But remember, teenagers end with from 13 to 19. So meaning we could put another condition, anything greater, we can put greater or equal to 12, then we put you are young. So that's how the if, else, if statement works. Now we also have what we call the select case statements. The select case statements, or the select case structure, we use it to select one of the several blocks of code to execute, and we base this on the value of an expression. Let's look at an example so that you understand this. I'm going to use the same project. I'm not going to create a new one. You can create a new one. This thing is not changing. Do you know why? I am not even seeing the if I go to form, if I go here, I'm not even seeing the properties window. It happens, and it becomes a challenge to many starters. It so happens when your code is still running. You see this form is running, you have to first close it, or you can close your project from here, you stop it, then everything becomes normal. When your project is running, you can't even make changes, and they have effect. You can't make the changes. Okay friends, now let me move this. I'm just going to copy this and paste it. Let me change this test. Remember, this is a text property, so much as you see test and test here and test, no problem. The name property is button 2 here, and for this one is button 1. So what you can have when it is the same on the same form is the name property, not the text. So I want to say test with select case. Let me enlarge this. Okay, so let me double click this and I add my code. I'm on slide 12 in your notes, so we have a code here that we can test. Okay, so you have our code here. We are saying dim grade as string, and we give it a value of C. Select. Now this is, let me explain. This is a variable called grade. It is declared with a string data type, and we are assigning it a string value. What we call a string is anything enclosed in quotes. So C is a string value for grade. So meaning grade has a value of C. We have hard coded it here instead of selecting it from a text box. Now, this is how we use the select case statements. A select case statement does what the if statement does, but in a bit different way. Select case, so these are keywords that we have to write when we are beginning a select case statement, and here end select, it means we are ending that block. Then this grade is a variable that we want to test. So we want to test the value that this variable grade has. So these case are the options. It's like we are saying, in case the value of grade is A, then do this. In case the value of grade is B, then execute that code. So that's how the select case statements work. So that means in case our grade has a value of A, of course we know it is not A, it is C. But if it is A, we display using a message box, excellent. If it is B, we display good. Then if it is C, which is what you have, we display average. and anything other than what we have up here we display failed. So let's run that and see. We have added our code to this one, so we have to trigger that event using the click of this button. So when we click, we are seeing average. Why? Because we have C here, which C we said if it is C we display average. But we can modify this code so that maybe we use another we can use the same text box here, but let me show you something. I can make this font big, and I can introduce what we use the group, what we call the group boxes, to group my, okay, so this is my group box. I can even change the text property here. Instead of having group box 1, I can say test, maybe select case program. So for select case, let me expand this. I can put my my thing there. Then let me first move this a bit lower. I still use my group box. So I want neat things and uniform things. Okay. Let me move this. So I can call this if else program. Okay. So let me just copy this. In fact, let me copy these two. Control C, Control V to paste, and I put them here. I move them this side. Then instead of enter your edge, I can change to enter your grade. So you see, now this text box is now called, the name is given by default text box 2. This one is text box 1. So much as I've copied it, they don't share the same name. I could go and change the name property here, and I call it something like txt grade, so that I program professionally. So instead of using the hard coding grade in the code, I can assign this grade variable a value that we captures the text property of txt grade. So txt grade dot text, the grade I capture there is saved in the grade variable. Then we test that grade. So we can run again and we'll see. So when we enter the grade, remember VB is case sensitive. We put C, it says it failed because it doesn't know small c. But if we put capital C, we saw it has to give, what is this? It has to give average. Okay, let me put capital A and I see. So still it gives failed. What could be the problem? Txt grade dot text. Okay, let me see. Oh, okay. It seems I interchanged things. What I call the txt grade is instead text box 1. So it is using this. Okay, meaning it has even changed this to txt grade. Okay, that's not a big deal. Let's correct it. So instead of txt grade, I want this now to be txt age. Then now let's give this name the right text box, txt grade. So that's the name. You are seeing that it has now changed here and even here instead of okay, it has also changed here because I had used the wrong one. So this has to be txt grade. Alright, so when I run, I put my grade capital C. Let's see. Wow, average indeed. But if I put small c still, since it's case sensitive, small c and capital C are different, so it gives me failed. If I put capital A, excellent, and so on. So you see how the select case statement works. Also, this is going to be our last bit of the program. We could use select case statements with the two keyword. So we can be dealing with numbers and we use the two keyword, and here we are checking if the variable has a value within a certain range. So we use the two keyword. So you have that code still. Let me copy it, and where should I put it? Okay, I could expand my form again and I use another group box to do something. So this time I've copied the entire group box by clicking on this, then copy, and I paste and I align it. I can even move all of this at once. Oh, sorry. The all of this, I highlight it and I move it. So let me put it somewhere there. I can even resize. Okay. Okay, I think that looks better, and I like neat things. Let me even add one button to close the form. Instead of using this close button here, we can create our own close button. So let's add a button. I normally have it this side, and I call it close. So the code for closing is very simple. Just type me dot close. So me is the form. Which form is this? Form 1. Me dot close. So close me. You know, you can't refer to the form by using its name when you are on that very form. It's like saying I'm Hudson. You can't say let Hudson get out. You say let me get out, because me is you. Instead of saying your name, you say me. So the same thing here. You can't say form 1 dot close when you are on form 1. So you say me dot close. But if you are on form 2 and you have a button on form 2 to close form 1, then you can use form 1 dot close. There it works. Now this is test with select. Select case. Let me add 2. This is 2. Key word So still test with select case, but using the two keyword. Let me expand this. So still here we are using, according to the code, it's an age range calculator. Select your age, then it will tell you if you are young or not. So instead of enter your grade, we need this one. Let me copy and paste. Enter your age. And the name here, text box 1. Now it has taken text box 1 because none of these is text box 1. We change the names. This is txt grade, this is txt age. Okay, let's double click, copy the code and paste it here. Okay, let me first correct this code. So still we see age range is underlined. We can say, so this is a variable which is not declared, dim age range as, let's use integer. Then we can even assign age or assign on another line. Instead of here, for example, we are saying dim a grade as string, and then on the same line we assign it to the text property of this. But here I can say dim age range as integer, and then on a new line I assign it. So age range is txt. Oh, okay, we have text box 1. We didn't change the name, so this is text box 1 dot text. If you want, you can use the pars as you have been using the previous projects. So text box 1 is this text box. That's the name property as you see it here. Text box 1 dot text. Okay, so select age range as that. Now we have already explained this. The new thing here is the to case. Now this time, instead of having one case value like case, then we have a string there, we use a range case. So meaning if the age in this text box is in the range of 16 to 21, show still young. But if it is from 50 to 64, show start lying. So of course this is a simple code to demonstrate, but you could add other ranges in between 16 to 21, then abruptly go to say 50 to 64. This is not very okay, but just for testing purposes. So let's see 16 to 21, anything between 16 to 21. So let's begin with this 16 itself, still lying, meaning 16 is inclusive. What about the 21? So still 21 is inclusive. Now any number between 16 and 21, like maybe 19, so you see it is working. Then any number between 50 to 64, maybe 55, start lying. So that's how the two keyword works with select case. Okay, so you see that these values in the ranges are also inclusive, and we can use the select case to create a range. And whatever you do with select case, still you can do with the if statements. With that, I hope now you are able to do this exercise that you have in your slides. This exercise that tells you to write a program that tests if a person is a child, teenager, in their 20s. In fact, I have almost even done this. Then to calculate the average mark, you will go through this and do it. You should be able to do this exercise with the information that you have got and the skills that you have gained in this tutorial. Otherwise, thanks again for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and to share. Have a nice day.